Helluva Boss really needs no introduction. An adult 2D animated web series about horny, violent demons that brings in several million views per episode. It's quite easily one of the biggest sensations in indie animation in recent years. Recently, it started airing its second season with no signs of slowing down on its progress. The team is made up of hundreds of talented artists that work their butts off to bring this show to life. And I was one of them. In August of 2020, I joined the Helluva Boss team. I worked on it for 2 years. Initially, I was an animation cleanup artist, then in compositing, and finally getting a chance to storyboard as well. When working in animation, we have to sign something called an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, meaning I can't talk too much about the behind the scenes of Helluva. However, that's not what this video is about. I want to talk about the question I get asked the most. How did I get the job on Helluva Boss? Indie animated shows like Helluva Boss don't always have traditional ways of hiring like big name studios. I actually helped in the hiring process on an indie production I was on, as well as have hired people for my own projects. So I feel like I can give some behind the scenes insight from my own experience. To be very clear, I did not help with hiring on Helluva Boss. And all of this information comes from my own experiences and my own research. Let's say you want to apply for an indie animation job like Helluva Boss someday. Let's go through a checklist of what you might need. Applicable art examples, software experience, a demo reel and/or portfolio, and last but not least, a good attitude. Let's start with the first one, applicable art examples. To be considered for any art-related job, you need to show them examples of what they're looking for. It's not enough to show them a sketch in your homework of your OC, because that doesn't show them that you know what the job is looking for. If you want to apply for an animation position, you've got to do some animating first. If you want to do character or prop design, you should have some examples of not only the designs, but turnarounds of how those characters look from every angle. It's pretty shocking how many people apply to things, but don't have any examples for the job that they're applying for. It'll put your application so far ahead of other people just by showing that you've done it before. If you don't know where to start, taking a look at other people's portfolios to see what sort of things they shared is a good starting off point. Another important thing to know is software. A lot of animation nowadays is being done in Toon Boom Harmony. That's what's being used on Helluva Boss. However, depending on what production and what role you apply for, they may be looking for artists who can use something else. Take some time to get familiar with those softwares before applying for these job listings. There's some awesome tutorials online that you can read and watch, and using a trial of the software can give you some hands-on experience. If you don't know how to use the software they need, you might be passed over for someone who does. There are so many resources out there nowadays. You're also going to need a demo reel or portfolio. Demo reels are a video compilation of your best work. These can be a great way to show your animation, cleanup, or compositing work. For things like storyboarding or design, a simple portfolio website that displays your work is a good idea. I might have to make a separate video breaking down what goes into a reel or portfolio. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. If you have a reel or portfolio, it shows that you have multiple examples of this type of work and that you're serious about wanting to work in that role. It also makes it so much easier for the recruiter to find what they're looking for rather than having to scroll through your Instagram. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to hire you. And lastly, let's talk about arguably one of the more overlooked parts of getting the job, how you present yourself. If you don't think you're good enough for the job yet, that's okay. Imposter syndrome is a really tough thing to overcome. But if you respond to the job application saying that you suck and you don't think you'll ever be good enough, before people even look at your work at all, you've tainted their view of your work, because that's what you've prefaced it with. It can be hard to deal with those feelings, but do your best not to put that on the person who's hiring you. That's just a bit of my advice about getting a job on an indie project like Helluva Boss. This all just comes from my own experience, and I hope that it was helpful and informative for some people. If you have any questions, or if you'd like me to make a video on another topic, please feel free to comment below. I've always wanted to make YouTube videos, and I would love to answer more people's questions. Thanks for watching.